3, 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everyone. Are you all awake and recovered from last night? A couple of you were saying that they were going to beat the bar and try and drink all the money that was placed behind it, but you failed miserably. And I think the ones that were trying the hardest haven't yet arrived this morning. They'll be joining us later, I think. I've got a couple of announcements in the minutes leading up to 9:30 when we should go live to Martin in Australia. First things first, welcome back everyone to day 2. I hope you're looking forward to it and I hope you enjoyed day 1. Did you enjoy day 1? Excellent. And thanks very much, Frank and the team, for organising last night. I thought it was great fun. Did you enjoy last night as well? People were there, yeah? It was good. I've still got some information to give out on workshops. I'm not quite sure where they are yet. I've not been told. We'll post them up when you're in the next session. We'll get them to you. Books. Still got a number of books to give away, and we will give them away. Pact Publishing have very kindly donated books for us. One of the books will be given to a person who can guess the number of pages in the Moodle 2 first look. If you can guess the number, and that doesn't include the author. In fact, you can get Mary to sign it for you. But if you write down your name and the number of pages you think is in this, and leave it with Sharon at the desk, and we'll get back to you later this morning. The other one is that we're going to just look for who tweeted first with the tag MOOTUK11 this morning. So you can have a look, and if that was you, come up and claim your prize. And we'll be announcing other prize winners as the day goes on. The next thing is a sort of rather strange request. Is there anyone here in the audience from performing arts, or a performing arts teacher, or does anything with performing arts? No, it's probably the wrong wrong question at a Moodle Moot conference. I just thought there was a slim chance. Okay, never mind. Sorry? Was there? Oh, well, yeah, that's good enough. Oh, well, actually, come and see me at the break. Oh, that would be good enough. Excellent. And after Martin, okay, it's 9:30, so we must move on swiftly. But after Martin's presentation, we're going to have a Moodle first, a Moot first, which is trying out a knowledge cafe. I'll introduce that when Martin's finished and talk more about that. The knowledge cafe facilitators have been in intensive training for months now, and they're raring to go. No, they were told about 5 minutes ago, to be exact. Okay, it's now 9:30. I think people are settled. And traditionally, my colleague Bernard takes over from here to enable us to speak live to Australia and Martin, and he should be able to see you. Last year, it was absolutely fantastic. Was anyone here last year? Yeah, it was a historical first. We actually connected 2 Moodle Moot conferences, one in New Zealand and one in London. And Martin was talking to both at the same time, simultaneously. Absolutely brilliant. So, Martin, are you there?
Oh, yeah, sure am.
Hi. Hello, Martin. Can we give Martin a big hello from London? Great stuff. Well, I'm going to pass over to you, Martin.
Thanks, Phil.
Cheers.
Thank you.
So let's do that. I think we've got 45 minutes total. I know there's probably lots of questions, so I'm going to try and take up just half an hour talking about not general stuff that I think you probably want to talk about. So let's share and go. Switch to the screen. To the Skype thing, you have to do this twice. Is that okay? You got that full screen there?
Well, it's just loading. Give it a couple of seconds. That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I really just want to talk about this here at UHQ. We don't get many opportunities where we talk about it. So busy here internally, so I'll just give you a taste of what we're working on. Ulcc for Moodle 2.1, Moodle 2.2, and some other projects that we're working on right now. And if there's anything burning, you could put it onto the Twitter stream, and I have it on the side there, and I'll probably glance across occasionally. So maybe I can answer a question as we go, if you're lucky, and we'll just see how it goes. So first of all, it's almost like a traditional State of the Union thing here is just to look at some of these stats and just to keep updating the old slides with new numbers. And they generally get larger. What the hell is that sound? Is it, you guys, like a football match? We have pretty big numbers in the community these days. Quite a lot of people. As you know, this is the current graph of the top 10 countries in terms of raw numbers of installations. The UK is letting itself down a bit, actually. I watched this like a horse race. The UK used to be third. Brazil has just pipped it this year. So you're falling back a bit. You have to whip it a bit harder. Then again, Brazil is probably must be 4 or 5 times the population. By population, the biggest Moodle country is Portugal, actually, followed by Spain. Yeah, I probably should do that graph sometime. But regardless, we obviously have a very international community. You can see in the those top 10 countries, and these are only registered sites, by the way, not all of them, because not everyone registers. That only 3 out of those top 10 speak English. And that's very interesting to really keep focus on the fact that we're international and there's some quite different needs sometimes. The other area we vary is in terms of who's using Moodle. Yes, there are some universities and many schools and other institutions. Since I last talked to the UK MOOCs, some big universities started using Moodle. Especially here in Australia, we had some really big ones move across. And by this year, half of the universities in Australia are using Moodle. Quite a few of them using Moodle 2. Monash just switching. University of West Australia, big old Sandstone University, switching as well. And some interesting developments elsewhere in the world as well. The corporate side is really becoming important. Lots of corporates using Moodle. All of these ones use Moodle for internal training, which is really an interesting thing, considering that they could, an oil company could basically afford anything. And the fact they choose an open source product is just really, really good. Now, what they like to do often is customize it. They like to have that freedom to customize it or make it exactly what they need. And that's the wonderful thing about open source. I'll talk more a bit later about some features that corporates want and what we're doing about that. Obviously, since I last talked to Moodle here, Moodle 2 is finally released, so I don't need to keep talking about it in some mythical future tense. What we really discovered with Moodle 2, and it took so long because there were so many big changes under the hood that all affected each other. The biggest thing I learned from that was that our development process was not good, that we needed to really work on our development process. And we have been doing that. I'll talk more about that later. But we did get there, mostly. You'll see that we got, these are the main features of Moodle 2. There's a big emphasis on security. That's why it's first. It's tiresome and a great deal of expense for everyone when a security flaw raises its head. Everyone needs to upgrade, everyone needs to patch, everyone needs to suddenly act. And if they don't, then they're subject to some pretty nasty possible things. You don't want people getting access to grades when they shouldn't, you don't want people getting access to information when they shouldn't, and you don't want people who shouldn't be in your site posting things they shouldn't. And these issues were really important. With Moodle 2, a lot of attention was paid to restructuring some things to basically rule out whole classes of security issues. A lot of things in Moodle 2 were geared towards performance as well, and that's not as clear cut as you might think. There are lots of things in Moodle 2 that are much faster than Moodle 1, but depending on how Moodle 2 is used, actually it ends up slower. So I'll talk more about that in a moment as well. Media management is a big thing. The way we handle files is now completely different. There's some interesting discussions going on in the community at the moment about these. They're quite such major changes that people were finding it hard to adapt to them, and that's totally understandable. There are still things we can improve, and we're still working on those. But fundamentally, under the hood, Moodle is a much more capable and safer place to manage media. Integrations, there's a lot of integration points for integrating Moodle with other systems around the internet, whether they're software as a service type systems or whether they are downloaded software like Moodle. And so that enables people to build the learning system that they need from lots of components of the Moodle system. There's a lot of usability appearance improvements, a lot of consistency. Moodle 2 is a lot more consistent than one was and behaves consistently. Many more places than it ever did before. Also, it's possible now to change the appearance of Moodle dramatically using themes. And people have only really just started to scratch the surface of that. The structure of the new theming engine is such that Moodle 2 can be transformed really significantly. And that's another good feature for fitting it into other systems. And finally, there are some new features. And there was this slide I probably showed last year with more details on all this, and we're going to go through it now. There's a couple of improvements and rewrites, and some new features. The main thing about it too is that we were trying to build a platform. So out of the box, it's not necessarily what you need or what you want. However, it's now more configurable. So it's designed to be to have modules added to it and have modules taken away from it, and so it can be customized by somebody who can handle that into the perfect tool. Because we're finding that needs are so diverse across our very large user group that there needs to be a way to turn Moodle into exactly the right tool for the job. And that's its strength over perhaps a simple site type. So, if you're going to something like Facebook, Facebook is Facebook, it's Facebook. You can customize it at certain levels, but pretty much it's the same. Moodle is much more configurable, and you can turn it into a site that's 100% suited to a primary school or a corporate application or a university. So very quickly, one of the main features is repositories, bringing in stuff from around the web. Portfolios, which are about getting stuff out of it into repositories. very big feature is the Web Services API, which opens Moodle up to being remote controlled by other systems, and also opens up all its services to client applications. That could be something like Flash running in a browser or Flash running on the desktop, sort of like Flex. But more importantly, I think for most people, it's mobile is really where things are heading. And so we've got a big focus on making Moodle integrate with mobile clients. And more about that later as well. I see you saying that a lot. I really must replace this complex diagram, but Moodle 2 is also the platform for community hubs about sharing courses. If you've looked at Mooch, Mooch is at hub.moodle.org and is one example of a hub. So register your Moodle site with a hub, and that enables you to publish courses to it in two ways. You can publish a link to your course, basically advertise it to say, I have a course, it's for these kinds of people, and I'm inviting people to come. Or secondly, you can upload the entire course and share the whole course with other people, download onto their own Moodle. The interfaces for this are built into Moodle too. So just via a blog, you can publish your courses to this hub, or in fact any other hub, because the software for this is also open source and anyone can set up a hub. And we already have quite a number of hubs being set up which are private hubs and not accessible to everybody. They're only for a select group of Moodle users who want to share amongst themselves. And that's completely fine, that's what it's designed for. The Mooch hub, which is a name I was still quite proud of, the Moodle.org Open Community Hub, is really meant to be completely open and is just a default place. In fact, the registration for Moodle is now actually just connecting to this hub. So when you register your Moodle site by default, you're actually just connecting to this hub. And all the Moodle 2 registration is now coming through here. This is a part I'm really excited about. It's already growing exponentially on the where we have time to play with the live. If you go look, you'll see there's already quite a number of courses available. And one of the guys here in the office, Thomas Lassick, one of his jobs is to monitor this and evaluate any new content coming in to make sure that it's clean and bad stuff, or that it is a real course and so on. So before anything gets listed, it is being checked. And that's something you need to do on a hub to make sure there's no unsavoury materials being posted in the public. But we are doing that and trying to promote this as a useful resource. I think as this grows, it will be a really great way to get a template course to start working with and to learn about how to use Moodle, as well as accessing other educators. Talking about Moodle 2 take-up from the registrations on Mooch, that's what the numbers are looking like at the moment. You can see a breakdown there of the sizes of sort of 2,200 Moodle 2 sites so far. Compared to previous releases, the take-up was slow, but that was fully expected given the large jump that it is. It's not easy to migrate all the Moodle 1.9 sites to Moodle 2, particularly anything that has modifications or third-party modules from the upgrading, so it takes a while. But we have some big sites moving to Moodle 2 now, and it's really accelerating. So, especially with the new stuff we're doing in 2.1, I think it's going to be quite interesting this year. I see that people using Moodle 2. So here at Moodle HQ, we have a number of people obviously working with core Moodle and managing the whole Moodle ecosystem. These are with most of them. We have a new guy just joined today, Michael Duputt, and he's our new development manager. And he's going to be taking over a lot of what I currently do, or currently can't do very well because of time. And he's going to be focusing especially on day-to-day development processes. He'll also be working on the development documentation and finally, he's going to be working closely with third-party developers and assisting them writing third-party modules. Because we are a platform, we try to make Moodle 2 this platform, well, it is a platform, but we want to really promote it as such. We want to stimulate really healthy growth in the third-party developments and making quality plugins so that we multiply development efforts that way, and all of us have more Moodle to Moodle with. So, as part of that, we've revamped the development process. This diagram, let me just explain it in terms of doing it. We have a much more rigorously defined process of how changes get into Moodle code. Previously with Moodle 2, the model grew out of me and a few guys, and say, well, you work on that, and I'll work on this, and everybody was working on a feature, and more or less on their own, or with two people. And, as is common with software development, there's always unexpected things. It's expected that there are unexpected things popping up that make things take longer. And when we get to any given release date, there was always 20 projects not quite finished. And that made it very hard to pick a release date. Now what we're doing is we've split into two teams. We have the stable team working on maintenance current stable version, which is currently 2.0. And we have a development team working on the next major release, which is version 2.0. The stable team have a list of work coming in, of bugs to work on, which is prioritised by a triage team. And the triage team decide whether bugs go in the stable group, development group, and then the stable team then work on the high priority bugs. And what we do is we take enough work for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and as a team work to fix all those and get them done in that time. So everyone is working on a small set of problems rather than everyone working on too many things at once. Then they submit. That doesn't go into Moodle yet, as it used to. What happens is those fixes then get submitted to the integration team, and the integration guys review that code. And if there's any problems with it at all, it gets rejected and back to work some more. If it is accepted, then it gets put into an integration version of Moodle, or an integration repository. So all this integration happens on Monday every week. And on Tuesday, we have a testers group, QA testers, check all those new fixes to make sure they should. And they finish that on Tuesday. A lot of developers here as well. And then on Wednesday, everything that survived all those trial by fire goes through to the production repository, which is the final one that is accessible to the public. So every Wednesday, we have a version of Moodle with a week's worth of fixes in it. And that's very safe, and you should use that for production sites. It's actually gone through three separate reviews. Now, of course, things occasionally might slip through, but it's pretty unlikely. That's the stable stuff. With the development stuff, I'll be working on roadmap for the future, based on the community, based on everyone there, what's happening in docs, what's happening in the Moodle board, what's happening in the industry, what things we've had been talked about for quite a long time that we haven't got around to yet. Prioritising those, and the development team work on those features only 1 or 2 at a time. The reason for that is that now we can have time-based releases rather than feature-based releases. So I can tell you right now, we are having a 2.1 release in June. What's in it, I'm not quite sure. I know what we're working on. If we don't make it by June, it's not going to be shipping in June. But 2.1 will ship without. We are going to have 6-month releases now. So 2.2 is in December, 2.3 will be next June, and we're going to keep going like that, 6-month releases. These new features go through a similar integration process, but with heavier review. That's the plan. So what are we working on for roadmap for 2.1, 2.2 in the future? Mostly we're working on usability and affordances. There's going to be a lot more attention in the interface again, less on the structure of the underlying Google code. Because we did all that in 2.0. So 2.1, number one thing we're working on is performance. As I said, some things in Moodle 2 are a lot faster than Moodle 1. But in the real world situation, as we're getting more testing for very large people, sometimes there's a slowdown, and the reason for many is that complex. Some of the reasons are because in the system environment, when people upgrade from 1.1 to 2, hasn't been changed or retuned. So system administrators do need to be aware that 2.0 has a very different profile and hits the database in very different ways, and it needs tuning. There needs to be testing. And that includes things like the database, your Apache web server, if using Apache, operating system. There's lots of variables. But with tuning, it is possible to get Moodle 2 mostly very close to Moodle 1. In some areas, though, performance still suffers in some very particular areas, and we're working on those in 2.1. Particularly, there's going to be a lot more caching going on behind the scenes. That's one major thing with the caching framework. And I can talk more about this later in questions if you like. Next thing here is restoring 1.9 backups. We've got that into 2.0. That's really an important thing for 2.1 is to have that ability. The backups format changed so dramatically. It was a really difficult problem, but it's being worked on now. There's the new quiz and question refactoring. It's coming from Tim Hunt at the Open University, and so he's been working on this for the last year and a half. That should land in 2.1. It definitely will land in 2.1. Hopefully that improves performance in quizzes, which is a crucial area for performance. Assignment refactor. Basically, it's possible to replace all the assignment subtypes with a very simple module. If you have an assignment that allows arbitrary numbers of files to be uploaded along with the text and allows the same in return, you can basically use every assignment subtype. And that should just simplify the whole assignment interface. There are some new web services for people using web services, and we are for mobile. And finally, there's quite a bit of interface polishing going on, just lots of small improvements here and there. 2.2, these are the things we're tackling first, roughly. There's a lot of improvement rating, especially rubrics, coming for 2.2. We're looking currently at 3 different systems for rubrics that have been developed independently, and we're going to be combining the best of them into a new specification, which I hope to post to the community very soon, in the next couple of months anyway, so that we can make sure we get that into 2.1. A lot of people have been wanting rubrics for a long time. Competency tracking is important. This is I was talking about also more corporate uses, keeping track of progress, not just within one course, but across courses, in a student group, essential. It's been talked for a long time. Lots of people have come up with solutions, including Moodle partners, but we need something like that in core. The forum module is due for a big revamp, probably based on the forum module that Open University have already worked on, Forum NG, not necessarily exactly the same as that, depending on wider community requirements there. Survey module is survey in Moodle 2.1. I hope it's done. Sorry, Moodle 2.2. I hope it's finished by then. That should replace the current survey module. It should also replace questionnaire and feedback. All those 3 do some aspect of surveys in different ways. we need to combine it into one module that does a lot. And that's very, I really think that would improve it. I know not many people use, how many people here use the survey module in Moodle 1.9? Anyone? 1, 2, 3 people, 4 people maybe. It's not a very popular module. If you do use it, it's awesome. I mean, it was actually the first module I ever developed in Moodle. It allows you to get it's a really great lens for looking at what's happening in the classroom, especially at university level. There are terrific instruments in there that will help teachers. Make surveys. Right? We need to so basically, these predefined surveys will actually become templates that you can distribute as part of a customizable survey. Lesson module needs to be school as well will get it looking and so on. Now, mobile apps. Let's talk about other projects we've got. There are lots of, obviously, we're with mobile stuff these days. It's really important. More and more, I think we're all using our mobile devices and less of the computers. A lot of people have had a shot at making mobile apps for Moodle, and some of them have got some really interesting features. Unfortunately, most of them attack the problem the only way they can, which is to have the mobile app behaving as a web browser. So it's actually scraping the HTML data from the screen and navigating the website for you, and kind of transmogrifying it into a mobile interface. And that's pretty cool as far as it goes. It's not ideal, and that's why we invented all the web services that we have in the studio. So what we're doing here is we're working on a mobile app, official one. It's designed from the ground up to be a mobile app. It's not going to look like the web interface at all. It's task focused. It's just across from here. I've got a room with 2 mobile guys in it, so we now have a mobile division at HQ. And they're busy working on this most of the time. There's touch screens. It's like touch screens. It's going to be very modular. It's going to be secure. You can talk to your Moodle site securely. It won't be passing any passwords and clear text over the internet. And it will work offline. And there's some mock-ups here of some of the screens. This is so one of the tasks you probably want to do is upload something. You're holding this great data gathering device in your hand, posting videos, sound, photos from that into your Moodle site is something I think most people will be wanting to do, and it should be very easy to do. Another use case is just looking to see who's in your class. Just browse through them, perhaps with a cover below it. Just to get familiar with who's in your class. This is a very small one. Sorry, these tasks were developed from a brainstorming session that happened with a lot of teachers some months ago. And there's a lot of brainstorming, and from that we pulled out some of the first tasks to tackle. But the design of the app means that the first page, you can see on the screenshot, is a bunch of mini apps within the app. So it kind of looks like Facebook, if you're familiar with that, where you have tasks on the first page. And you can rearrange those into the ones you use often. So we will be adding to this, it will be growing over time. Messaging, so that the Moodle messages are connected to your mobile. Someone sends you a message on Moodle, it can come through as a notification. A lot of teachers want to be able to do attendance, so in a real classroom, it's very handy to quickly pull up an attendance list and zip through, marking off who's not in the room, and have that information posted somewhere. And here are some screenshots from the app in development. They're not very exciting at the moment. Still experimenting with things, but it is actually working right now, and they're just using on the rest of the tasks. So that should come out concurrently with 2.1 in its first form, and we'll develop from there as we get more feedback on it. Another thing in development, another separate project, is working on. Currently, we have a pretty clean which this new one is completely written for the purpose. And sorry, I'm getting some. This new module on Moodle will manage all the information that all the plugins that exist. It will track the different versions. It will have official reviews for things like security, usability, accessibility. There will be downloads from there. It'll be integrated with Moodle so that inside Moodle you can say, similar to WordPress, if you're familiar with that, you can say, are there any updates available? And be able to see inside your Moodle that you need to upgrade this module, and this module, and this module because there were some security updates. And eventually, not in 2.1, but eventually you'll be able to then go upgrade now, and you can download to your Moodle site and upgrade code on the spot, which should mean a lot more people upgrade more often. It'll keep statistics, it'll know about compatibility, so you should be able to, from the front page of this new thing, which should be up in a month or so, it's practically done. You should be able to say, show me the top 10 modules for my version of Moodle that have been security reviewed, and you'll see them. That should be pretty useful for everybody. Moodle Docs is getting a big overhaul. Currently, Thomas Wassick, Helen Foster, and Michael Gerard working on with me, working on the new scheme. The admin and teachers pages are being combined into one manual, like the user manual, with a table of contents. If you want to have a look at that, you can already see it on. There's a page just called 2.0 in the docs under the English section /en/2.0. That table of contents is like will be a big front page leading to all the documentation, and it makes it more like a big reference book. The interesting thing we're going to do now is every time we do a release, we're going to clone that wiki and make a brand new wiki for the next release. Meaning that once you get into the docs, you'll stay within the docs for your own version of Moodle, and there'll be a lot less confusion about what's happening in what version. The developer wiki will be separated as well, and that'll be more of a reference manual for developers. This is one of the major jobs for Michael is producing this manual. It will explain all the APIs, all everything developers need to know to really help them develop all the third-party modules that we want to see as a community. We'll be using templates in the docs. So, for example, the activity modules like forum and wiki and choice and database will have a similar appearance, a similar set of information and headings, so that they're easy to parse and understand. And there's going to be processes built in, so for every release now, we are going to do this cloning process, update the docs to make sure that the new information for that release is being added, and there'll be people employed now to look after the core docs and really upgrade it. That doesn't mean we don't want volunteers helping. Volunteers have built the docs that we have today, but wikis with pure volunteerism do tend to be rather rambling, and we have a lot of information that is dubious currentness. Some of it's looks official and new, but actually it's really old and out of date and misleading. And we need to have a little bit more control over quality there. And I think if we have some core people working on that, more core people working on that, then the volunteers work to do smaller fixes would be more beneficial. Finally, the Moodle websites are getting an overhaul. Moodle.com will go live probably after probably soon. It's currently getting we have a web design company working on that, and it's ongoing. Moodle.com will explain lots of things in more detail, including trademarks and stuff. Moodle.org would be next, and that will get an overhaul appearance, and also, I guess, removing some of the clutter of the many, many buried forums and bringing them more up to the surface, so we've more, it works better as a community support mechanism. That's where we are. So we've got a bit of time for questions. Can we have any, do we have any? Lots to hear from you.
Do we have any questions? Comments?
I was kind of keeping an eye on the Twitter stream, but I didn't see any questions.
No? We're on this.
Yeah, it's a good question. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Look, we looked at, so the question in case I missed it was what platforms the mobile app. Initially, looking at the iPhone, we did look cross-platform development. They don't quite give us so the iPhone app was first, and then basically paying someone to take that and develop an Android app back to them. So they'll have a working model to work with, and lots of interfaces to work with. So it should be pretty quick. Did we lose connection or something?
Your audio is big.
Okay. Maybe I need to yell out before I stop using the internet so everybody is sure what's going on. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah,
that's
fine.
it. Yeah.
Okay, so good. So basically iPhone initially and then look at Android afterwards as a separate thing. First you want to get the design right without focusing too much on cross-platform.
Any more? Anyone else? Yep, there's one over there.
I couldn't understand the question, sorry. Yep. Yeah, well, there will be, I mean, there are certain people who everyone trusts to do certain review. If someone like a Peter Skoda, who works at UHQ, if he does a security review, you know it's going to be a good security review. So there will be trusted people will get the ability to do certain types of if any of you want to volunteer for that, I guess you need to go prove your credentials, maybe do some test reviews, and I guess once you become a trusted person, you'll be allowed to review it on these criteria, usability, and so on. We really want to have the notion that we have official reviews on trusted people, and then we have community reviews, so anybody can post a review, but that there is a separateness to those, so that you can say select only things that have a certain stamp of approval from someone. The Moodle partners are very interested in helping that. They have a lot of developers and a lot of experience in these areas, and some of them will be putting their hand up, I think, to official reviewers.
Was there someone else?
But really anyone's welcome. I think experience.
Steve Coppen here from the University of Kent. With the introduction of interoperability standards such as IMS's Learning Tools Interoperability, is the race not to produce the best survey tool, but to produce the best vehicle to integrate with the market leader in survey tools?
That didn't actually get on the list, but there will be basic LTI interoperability. I think it's in 2.1. There is code for it. It is a third-party module now, but it needs to be reviewed, and whether we have time to review it before June, I'm not sure. But it will be there if you need it. So that will already work. If there is a system that talks LTI that you want to use, then by all means use it. I think the survey tool itself is going to be it's going to be very capable and very targeted to surveys within the Moodle environment. So I still think there's a need to develop. I mean, we haven't developed a really working. Danielle Torgella, I think, is working on this at the moment.
Hello, oh, that's better. We're currently using 1.9. I would love to move to 2. I fear my teachers would have a collapsing fit. Just with the jump there is from 1.9 to 2. Could you recommend strategies of the best way to introduce it, a period of time, you know, anything like that?
Well, the changes are not. The main change users will find will be in relation to media, and the workflow that unfortunately people got used to, dumping a big zip file or FTPing a whole lot of files into their course, and then selectively picking bits to show here and there, has to be modified somewhat to avoid all the problems that we were having. Backups were out of control, security was out of control. There was also people were deleting files and unknowingly making activities suddenly not work because the files had disappeared. And there was no link between the activities and the files that were using them, that he was finding. But now there is. So that is the main issue. And it is difficult, I think, for some people to make the jump. People who haven't used Moodle 1.9 have no problem with it. That's what I'm finding. But it's the transition. If you talk to people like, if you read Mark Dreschel, he has a blog. He's from NetSpot, a partner in Australia. He's been keeping a blog and talking about the exact history of coming about that. It's really interesting stuff. And I think we could probably all, there's probably a lot of people at this conference who've been tackling that same issue as well, and we could probably find. I hope that's answered the question. But short of actually me coming and helping there, it's difficult. If you're doing training, to basically explain the new system and how it works and what the limitations are and what the new benefits are.
Obviously, Moodle 2.0 has the repositories and so forth. Is there something or particular repositories that are leading the way that will enable the staff to be able to click on the documents, update them, and then save them within the systems? I mean, obviously, there's lots of companies out there which are pushing their repositories. Is there one that's particularly taken on board by the Moodle community?
There are none in particular I could recommend. That's a whole space of development, and there's so many repositories and there's so much development going on there. I don't pretend to be an expert on which one's best or not promoting any one in particular. Obviously, in the open source world, something like Alfresco is one of the biggest ones with the most features. But it's also the LMS, the Moodle, the VLE, sorry, I'm in England. If that recommends a particular repository, it's very difficult to have a one-size-fits-all for that. It's a very big decision because what you're deciding when you pick a repository is where are we going to store our stuff for the next 10 years or so. You have to think really long term. So I'd say the decision of picking a repository is at least as big as the decision for picking a VLE. And it should be thought of that way. And you need to think about the training and the workflows and getting people used to storing their files, to think about metadata, to think about reuse, to think about copyright and all the managing of that properly. It's a big process. And then when you marry that to a VLE, Moodle now has those tools, those hooks built in that it can connect to it. And actually the plugins required to enable Moodle to talk to any given repository are very small. So even if they don't exist now, any developer could write that little bit of this glue code so that it talks to the repository. And then you have a complete system. And that's really the direction that we're pushing. There is no, really, there's no repository in them. There's the most basic file storage going on. And I really don't want to develop a repository in them. I want people to do that selection process separately, which is a hard band-aid, elastoplast to pull off, but it's really worth doing it for the long term. I've just seen too many news sites that have gigabytes and gigabytes of useless old files stored with no structure, no way to find them, no way to sort them. The courses get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until they can't even have backups anymore, and it's really a dead-end situation. So, if you're serious, you really do need to think about that. That's the way to think.
Martin, thank you very much. It's been great to see and hear you again. It's been a real pleasure as ever. And I'm afraid we've run out of time, because otherwise we could sit and talk to you for ages.
No worries.
But can we give Martin a warm hand for... Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thanks, Martin.
Thanks, guys. See you again. See you later. Hopefully next time I'll be there. I'd like to get there. Cheers.
Thank you, Martin. Cheers. Good. Thank you for that. Was that useful? Very interesting. And I really like the questions too, which leads nicely on to the next section, which is the Knowledge Cafe. How many here have been involved or participated in a Knowledge Cafe before? Oh, well, look at that. Look at the experience in the room. Fabulous. Okay, what is a Knowledge Cafe? If you don't know, it's something that the regional support centres have been doing in the last year, and I've participated in a couple of them in London and in Wales, and they are fantastic. They're really good. Basically, the idea is it's enabling you to get together, provide open and creative conversation of a topic of mutual interest. It's about getting collective knowledge, share ideas, insights, deeper understanding of subjects and issues. And really what makes it successful is that you kind of get people together who can share experience and expertise. And what better place to do that with a room full of Moodle experts and experienced users, practitioners, techies, etc. So we're going to try it for the first time in Moodle Moot history and see how it goes. We've only got basically an hour, well, less than that now, before lunch. The facilitators, could just facilitators stand up, please, and identify themselves. They've been in months and months of training for this. Give them a round of applause, please. They've been in months and months of training. They'll take you through to your breakout rooms, where you're going to get into small groups and discuss a subject that interests you. We've put up 3 that we suggest, but you don't have to stick to this. The question around staff development, I think, for those of you that are considering migrating to Moodle 2, is a critical one, because without staff development strategy, it's going to probably crash. I don't know, maybe not. There's a point for discussion. How is learning, taken from Gronya's keynote yesterday, do we require new digital literacies if we're going to be teaching learners who are now using social media in such ways? How should Moodle Moot look in the future? I think this year has been fantastic. I really loved seeing the unconference take place, and I'd like to see that continue. I'd also like to see Moodle Moot or a Moodle gathering of some sort become more practitioner focused, so we can talk about applications of Moodle, not talk about development or administrative stuff around Moodle. So there's one to talk about. What is Moodle MOOC going to look like in the future? So